All right, we are back. It's been a busy spring. I haven't really prioritized making these videos. So this first video here is going to be all of my scouting from February and March. Working on a second video of all of my April scouting. So all of my spring scouting is going to be in 2 videos here. So finally getting everything together for that. So my plan here for the spring was cover as much ground as possible and find good looking spots and just mark them, do a quick little analysis rundown, make a video about it. 1 for the channel, but 2 for my own personal notes. And then once spring hits, once the green up hits and I can't really have as effective as scouting, go back in and refine those spots. So I just wanted to collect a list of them. So that's why I'm going to list them out here. And then now it's middle of June here. So now I'm going to go back in there, refine those spots, pick the trees, prep the area, mark my access, figure out the wind, kind of all sorts of that stuff. So first part of the scouting, cover as much ground. That's what these 2 videos are going to be. And then kind of the next videos after these are going to be refining the spots, really perfecting them, breaking them down, going through my thoughts, and seeing how I'm going to hunt it this fall. And one thing with refining these spots is not only picking the tree, picking the wind, picking the access, all that sort of stuff, but where am I going to set up in the tree? And I have these all marked down in my notes, and going to be marking down more in my notes as I refine these spots as I go through them. But how high up, how many sticks am I going to use? Where am I going to hang? That sort of stuff to get the best get the best cover, get the best shot. So this first spot here, this is a very much an overlooked spot right next to the parking lot. It was the first pin that I headed to. Pin that I dropped e-scouting, headed right there, and found a couple rubs in a great little bedding area. I'm not 100% confident in it that a big buck lives in there, but I know a buck lives in there. So it's definitely going to be a morning spot with how close those 2, I believe they're poplar trees, how close those were to the bedding area. And with the access, how it is, it's going to be a long walk around. But based on all the trails and everything that I saw, it kind of comes in. And with that, I have to come in from the completely other side. So, that was a walk to get out here. This is all the root balls and marsh. So if you step off the root ball, you fall into water. I hate this shit. But this is a cool spot. So it's this big bowl. And then right here, there's a couple little trees that come into a point. I dropped a pin right here. This looks to be a buck bed. We got rubs, fresh rubs from this year. We got the indentation where he's laying, so he's looking this way. Got rubs over here. We got dogwood, so he's got food, good amount of browse. Sticks, are even ripped off. Up there, there's a rub up there, marking this trail that goes in and out. So, first spot is a success. So I got to mark the wind direction. The wind's going to be coming in this way. His back's like that. He's going to be looking this way. So the wind is going to be coming in over his back. So I'm going to mark this buck bed with that wind. So I'm back in that buck bed. This whole little island here is just surrounded with beds. A couple more right here. This is the main trail in. These 3 poplars here are the only ones that would give me a shot. There's that one here. That's dead. I don't think I would be able to get up into it. This is only 30 yards, so I would think this would be a morning spot here. I don't know where I'd be able to set up in the evening to shoot this bed. But look how high that is. That's a tall one, dang. All of this out here has the recipe for good bedding. It's nice and thick, right off the transitions, oaks this way. It's so wet that I haven't found any bedding in there. I've walked this whole transition all the way. So it's like I continue to kill myself walking through all that shit. Or I can hop up on the mainland here and just look for trails. So you don't have to scour, you know, every inch of bedding areas. Is, in my opinion, my strategy is I'm not going to, you know, continue to walk through that and spend an extra hour trying to get through it because it's so thick and wet and root balls and whatever. I'm just kind of keeping an eye out for trails, tracks, rubs. You know, there's a big, where is it? That big tamarack tree right there, pine tree, whatever it is. So like that could be a visual destination for them walking in. So I'll go check that out. So just bop in there real quick and then come right back out. And that's it. Save some time, be a little bit more efficient. I'm out on this remote island. And I haven't seen any stands or anything, but just cut all the way up there. Someone was getting into this tree and it's all sapped over. So I'm assuming it's from this year. I barely saw that up there. You can just see it. There's one, there's two actually right there. Oh. Number 4 for the day. Just gotta wonder. Like people put all this effort to carry a ladder stand all the way out here. Here's a tip that I do. Like their bow rope and stuff. I will, it's hard to do left-handed. Come on. I'll wrap it around. Stuff like this. So that way, oh look, that's nice. So they're littering. And number 1, non-estrus doe urine. Why in the hell would you want to use non-estrus? Put that in the pocket, take it back. But I wrap the bow ropes and stuff like that. So like if I go back, if I'm ever walking through this area, you know, scout my way in or something next fall, and I see that and it's still wrapped up like that, then you know, okay, he hasn't used it since February right now. So no one's been in there since February. So it's good. If it's moved, then obviously they've hunted it and I want to keep going. So it's just a way to monitor human pressure. Tips and tricks with Dave. I hate this. Got all those cut branches all the way up. You can tell where he hunted at. So I am in a bed right now. There's a couple of rubs around, nothing super fresh, nothing big, but there's tons of hair in here. And I was talking with Jacob Sklenner about this. You can see, obviously, you see those really long hairs, but then beneath it's a short, fine hair. And Jacob's theory about that is if they're using it late season in the winter when it's cold, it's going to be their long winter coat. And if you're using it early season, it's going to be those short, thinner hairs from their summer coat. So it's something that I haven't seen before, but this bed is really loaded with hair. It's not as matted down as I would think it would be with all this hair, but something's been in here. So it's pretty cool to see. So that previous video was over there. I'm actually liking this spot a lot more. I am in a bed right now. There's one. That's a big bed. You know, it's not as matted down, worn to the dirt as I would like to see, but tons of poop. There's some beds over there, beds there. So it looks like they're shifting around this little island. And I am seeing a couple more rubs. Nothing crazy. They're all early season. But there looks to be some hardwoods right there, so I'm gonna go check out those trees. So this second spot is pretty interesting because I actually came from the southeast there into the beds first. And I found those 2 beds, and there were some other bedding areas nearby, and there was just no rubs. So I'm like, it's probably does. I walk in towards that point, and I'm walking in. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty open up here. I saw a little rub off to the side. I was like, it's pretty high, So let me do another look around. I turned around, and this tree is just, torn up, that you'll see. So I went back to those beds and kind of did a deeper analysis on them, and I think that's going to be a buck bed, and I think that trail in and out of there, that's what he's marking to the oaks right there. There's no rubs in the bed, but with how much room was all carved out, how high those branches were broken off, that I'm pretty confident in it. That spot right on that point actually has a stand there already, so I need to go back and kind of figure that out, see if it's an old stand, see if someone's using it, all sorts of stuff like that. So I'm on this little sliver of trees that comes out from the oak point here, and straight ahead of me is a little lone tree that I just walked by. I marked as a bed, but I didn't think it was a buck bed because I didn't see any rubs or anything. So then I circle around and I come down this little finger. There's another rub up there too, going up towards the point. So I think I'm changing my tune. I think this is a buck bed. That is a big rub, very tall. Whoa, that's deep. So, oh yeah, and then there's a rub on the backside of that tree too. Historic. So, yeah, and it's orange, so I'm thinking November, but that little guy there's just one heavy trail and it goes right out to it. Buck bed. So there's that bush that I was just at, and there's another trail that connects to here. This is getting used very well. A lot of hair. It's all hair right there. One thing that I noted, I'm down on my knees here, everything here is all broken off. Whereas rack would be, is all broken off. Laying down right in here. Like, I'm surprised that's not broke. But, so we can come in here, and it's just gonna be this little cave. Not gonna hit his head on anything. Nice and tall. A lot of open headroom. Good amount of shade. Yeah. This is interesting. So I'm walking out on this deer trail, and I notice it is all torn up, broken, torn up, broken. I wonder if that's from a rack. That's shoulder high right there. Tall rack. If that's a rack, I don't know. This is a spot here. It's in the same area that I've hunted the last 3 years with my dad. That's really skunked us for the last few years. The first year that we hunted it, the water level was really low, so that actually really increased the bedding in the cattails, and we saw a lot of bucks on camera into the hardwoods. They were actually coming up. Now that it's been flooded the last couple of years, all that bedding in the marsh is underwater, and we just haven't been seeing the deer on camera. So I'm like, I know they're here. Where did they shift to? And nearby is a crop field. So I was like, let's check this. It's really close to the road, really close to the parking lot, really close to that ag field. So it's like, all right, let's break this spot down. And the bedding areas here, again, don't scream big bucks, but there's doe bedding. There's a couple isolated beds that are tucked up under willows and stuff that I think the bucks are going to be in. But then once you go into the wood line there, man, it is just torn up with early season rubs. So I'm thinking they're going to be using that area very, very early season, like opening week, opening few days. So that's going to be my plan for the opener, as long as the wind crop cooperates. I don't have any film of it, but I actually ended up going back in there, prepping the tree on either side so I can have both the north and the south wind with really good access on both. So this is probably, at this point, this is probably going to be my #1 hit list spot. For new spots that I found, this one really, really has me interested. This is a really cool spot. I think this is going to be the buck's primary bed in here. And then we have the exit trail out there. We have the exit trail right there. And then red brush, and all this is red brush right here. Must be another bed there. Up in here, bed here, possible bed here. But here's another really thick trail out. And then this looks to be a bed too. On the water's down. But that's a bed right there. There's another big trail out of there. Looks to be something in here. But this little red brush area, you know, there's a handful of beds. Trail. That trip goes there. That trail goes there. So you're in this big bedding hub, the spokes of the wheel, where all those exit trails head back to the mainland or further into the cattails for security. So I just walked this really thick trail. That bed is that brush right there. This really thick trail comes straight in here. So I'm thinking this is going to be his main exit trail. There's one that loops around that was a little less faint, but this one is definitely used the most. So this to me looks more like CRP, like a little bit of grass mixed in with cattails, versus out here, that's going to be mostly cattails. You can see that transition where it's light cattails and like more grassy land. So I think this area is going to be a little bit more down versus the cattails being higher. So when he comes in here, gotta think, how can we set up? So we got that tree there, probably a 30-yard shot or so, really small. We got that tree there. That one's going to be a little bit farther. And then we have that tree there. But what I don't like about that is you're walking straight in, so it'd be a tough archery shot. Little scrub brush tree there, potentially type thing. So this is actually a really good setup. I need to measure the distance, but I would say it's 75, 80 yards probably to that bed. And you have 1, 2, 3, kind of 3.5 maybe. Really, really good setup for this trail. So this is interesting. So I was just over there, and that other trail went back to the bedding there. There's also that trail that split off, like I said, and that came across here, and this little bush has a buck bed under it too. So this one links up, and then this really heavy trail comes in right here. This is the tree that I first pointed to. So this one tree right here will cover this trail and the one that goes there. So this is the tree. Has to be this tree. And depending on the setup, has to shoot that way and this way. So that's gonna be that's pretty difficult. A little bit north of there is just big convergence of trails, and they all come into this little hardwood area, and it's just tore up with rubs. There's no big trees, so it's gonna be a difficult hunt. That's why I said it's gonna be a ground spot. And I think it's that same early October, very first week of the season before the crops come down, kind of that sort of timing. I'm not very good at hunting on the ground. I haven't done it before, but I need to identify those areas that I'm gonna be up in a tree versus on the ground. Another really thick trail. This one is 2 main trails that come together right here. They're heading towards a private ag field right across the street. So I was looking, I'm like, that's not really much here. This is gonna be the shoot spot, right? So I was looking around and I noticed the trail splits. One goes this way, one goes this way. Up here, we go rub. Another one right there. but the trail kind of comes down here. Rub on that tree up there. That one was touched here. This one, that one. Coming in off this trail. A couple of rubs there, rub there. All these are hit. Got a horizontal rub there. That tree is tagged on the other side. So bucks will mark their food and their travel route for food. That kind of does look like a bedding area to me. The terrain, the layout, but the ground doesn't tell me that there's deer bedding there. The bedding look more pronounced out there. But all of this in here is all tore up. And being able to age the rubs helps. So if you look, there is no orange, it's all white. So this is gonna be early. It's all gonna be early season. Here's another one up here. I mean, they're tall, they're pretty tall. Nothing insane. But, you know, and they're on poplars, which some people don't take much stock in. I do. I don't know any better yet. I mean, all of these are hit through here. Down this one main trail. And it comes out here. So we got trail for food that's just tore up. So you know he's working through here. Got a rub there for that trail. And then the other one is over here. This is just wide open right there. But no real rubs right here. So I don't think he's using this one as much. I think it's gonna be over there. So then of course you gotta ask, ooh, slippery, how do you hunt it? And there are no trees. No trees at all to hunt this spot. But I think I got his movement figured out. So if it's another wet year, I bet you this spot or that tree back there, that's where it's gonna be. So this is kind of this spot here is kind of an isolated area within the marsh, and it's just surrounded by thick brush. I mean, it's impossible to walk through. There's like one deer trail in and out in each direction. And then in there, I found that picture perfect buck bed. I mean, it's a cave, it has rubs, it's huge. I could lay down in there, no problem. You know, it's a massive bed. Followed that, I backtracked that trail out, again, heading towards that ag-ish field. Backtracked it out. There's some heavy other trails going through there, so I know there's going to be a lot of deer movement, and there's no tree to hunt it on. There's a little ground spot, but I actually just went in there recently, didn't get any film of it, but it's so grown out, all the leaves are weighing the branches down, so the branches are now overhanging where I would need to be shooting, where in the winter the branches were up. So that's a good lesson for me, is you can't fully rely on prepping those spots until you see them in green up. So that's kind of what solidified my plan there. Now is looking back, I'm glad I'm taking the strategy of just finding the spots and then refining the spots after green up, because if I would have counted on that, if I would have walked in there, you know, early October, all those leaves would have been down and I wouldn't even have a shot. So it's that spot's definitely teaching me some stuff. I think I'm gonna prep a tree to get some exit routes out of there. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to hunt it how I thought I was gonna hunt it, just how thick of a tangle. Going back in there when the cattails are over your head is, it was a barren wasteland a couple months ago, and a week ago it was hell to walk through there, that's for sure. But the trails and the deer sign is insane. So I know it's worth a hunt. I know deer are moving through there. It's just how to hunt it, basically. Now this is a cool buck bed. We got a rub right there. We got a really big one, historic one. historic, one historic. There's a couple more that way too, but look at this little cave. I mean, once this is leafed out, yeah, this is all shade. This is nice. Not as worn down as I would expect. But this is a nice bed. There's just rubs everywhere and little individual beds around this big old bush thing. I don't know what it is. And here's the up view. I was just sitting right there. But I mean, it's just so tunneled in here. This is cool. That's high. That's really high. Okay, so right in there was that bed. There's a trail that comes out and then comes through here. I mean, this is just beaten in. Comes up here this way, circles back into that thicket, which then loops around the transition kind of to where that tree is right there. So it loops around. This other one comes right in here. Low, but it's signpost. And then I think this is the buck here. It's nice and high. It's about waist high here. So this is definitely a mature buck. And I think this is going to be his exit trail. I think he's coming out right there, coming through. And there's a couple trails that split off from here. So now I'm going to walk each one of them. All right, buck bed's behind me. This was tough. There's kind of like one main trail that way. And it just gets up into this thick bush. And then it just disappears. I don't know if trees fell over and blocked it, because it was really thick, like clear defined trail, and then it just got super thick. So I don't know, this one's tough. I marked that bush. I'd be able to sit behind one of the branches, so I brought in my little stool. So it'd have to be a ground setup, which would be very difficult. And the buck would be coming in head on, which is also very difficult. But taking that frontal shot on the ground is okay. Taking it up in a tree isn't. So kind of the best that it gave me. Got my waders. But I mean, that's why these bucks live to maturity, because they can't be killed. They're very hard to kill. Does it suck carrying a set of waders over a mile? Yes. Does it beat crossing a creek and getting wet up to your waist potentially? Yes. But I didn't know how deep this creek was going to be. There's this really shallow spot. My gum leaves might have been able to make it, actually. This is not very deep. But whenever you see, like, you know, a sandy bottom, you don't know if it's going to be silt that you'll fall through, or hard packed sand bottom that you can walk on. And unfortunately, whatever you want to look at it, this is hard bottom. So walked all the way out here with waders. Really nothing. Darn, now I know. Oh, it's a good time for a break. Good time for lunch. About 2.5 miles in for the day. I packed out my little stool, jet boil, get some water going here, and chicken Alfredo pasta is what's for lunch. So I'll packed out the jet boil, the food, a bunch of water, waders, stool, you know, everything like that. So I'll just leave that here because I gotta go way far that way, and then I'll just loop around, and I might just be able to walk that creek back. I don't know, we'll see. But good time for a break, that's for sure. Couldn't ask for a more beautiful day. So I just traded in my old bag for this little TX5 super nice. So I got the jet boil in here, Molly's on the front. I got my stool that was just compression straps, a couple bottles of water, trash bags under there. But take this with me. I have to carry out a platform I left in the woods, so I'll need it. And then there's a trail camera in here too, so just in case. But yeah, really happy with this little TX5 so far. All this, waders, are gonna stay back. Sometimes it's easier just to walk the creek. Cuts off a good amount of time. So, threw back on the waders, heading back to the car, taking a shortcut. It's either a shitload of cattails or this nice creek and then a walking path. So, different day. Went back out to a spot, and it gets a ton of pressure. It's a bow only little park. Has a bunch of swamps, a bunch of islands, and it gets hammered. I've had a buddy had 2 cameras stolen last year alone out there, and everyone that I talked to is like, don't even go in there. It's so overhunted. There's people everywhere. But every year people get bucks, and typically it's rut. That's what I hear. Everyone gets their bucks out of there is rut, and it's like, you know, there's deer in there. There's decent bucks that get taken out of there every year. They have to be living in there somewhere. So I scoured that property one day, and I found one spot. That's it. Found a lot of hunter sign, just insane amount of hunter sign. So I knew where not to go. And then I found this one little area that a buck is using, I believe, that actually is huntable. Decent access, not too complicated. It's just whether or not I get the timing right. But there's really no food around or anything like that that would point me to very early season, like, you know, crop fields and that sort of thing. I did end up finding a really big doe bedding area that's right along a creek, so that's going to be like a good rut all day spot that I'm thinking. So beyond that, it's going to be a tough one to nail down the timing. That one might take me a couple of years to really refine that area, but yeah, I'm going to try it maybe in the pre-rut and then hit it again, you know, really close to there with that water access. So yeah, we'll see. It looked really good. I was happy with it, and I was happy with that doe bedding area with all the deer trail crossings and stuff like that. So yeah, out of that whole area, I found 2 spots. So that's usually how it goes here when there's a lot of pressure and the hunters just get absolutely everywhere. You just have to find that 1 or 2 spots where no one's looked yet. So many deer. Holy cow. Wow. Had a bed here, pretty sure. So we got rubs all in. We got historic, a little bit of fresh. This branch right here is freshly rubbed, and then back there is freshly rubbed. But looking at it, I'm standing in water right now, and this doesn't look too matted down. So I don't know if this was really used that much. There's a bed right there. But this area, yeah, definitely was getting used a little bit. I'm pretty sure that's going to be early season, taking a guess here. But with this water and everything being so wet, you know, it's tough to think that they would be laying in here. Another historic, some fresh rubs. But this whole little area, pretty nice and thick once this is all shaded, leafed out. I think it's going to be a good early season spot. Walking out. Here's the main So we got the bed right here. We got the main trail coming in here. There's also other trails going every which way out of this little area here. But this seems to be what's connecting to kind of like that open field-ish. So I'm gonna mark, go look at one of these trees, see how far away they are, and mark one of those to hunt this one, this bed here. So there's the bush that the bed is on, and that trail comes right out here. Couple rubs on this trail. But what's interesting, get this big berm here that separates the power lines, kind of this open field, and there is a trail, thick trail that comes right along, right on the edge, of course. So you have this kind of open field. You got the berm that protects line of sight. Possible, thermal drop there too in the evening. And you got this, the wood lot here, the wood line, and there's that trail that runs right down here, right to that bed. So I'm thinking that thick tree right there, have it set up kind of this way, can be able to shoot that trail and possibly turn around and shoot back here. So you can monitor out here as well as this trail here. So that's gonna be a tricky wind setup, but I'm thinking it's gonna have to be kind of like a parallel wind. So we're about 50 to 100 yards away down here. We got a nice historic and then a fresh rub here, about waist high. It's on this little exit trail. But this little area, it's like a isolated little island of woods right along that power lines. I think they're coming down. There's a trail right there, coming down, hitting this trail, marking his trail here. From here to this bed. Now this has bed there, big bed here. Gonna come around. Nice, really nice tall rub right there. And kind of a couple beds in here. I think he's coming right from this little patch right up there, circling. So I'm wondering if get the wind going that way so you can kind of scent check as he's coming in, as he's J-hooking in, let's say. How would I hunt it though? Be like one of these little trees here, but how would I get in there? Right on top of the freaking bed. Yikes. This is a cool spot. All of these bushes have beds. There are no rubs though. We're in a big oxbow. So the river comes around like this. All of this is matted down. Look how matted down that grass is. All of these are beds. Every bush surrounded by beds. But there's no rubs. No rubs, no bucks. So I think this is a massive doe bedding area. There's a very large tree right there. Water access, big tree, rut, big doe bedding area, oxbow, isolated. Can't ask for much better than that. This is a white oak too. Huh. I wonder if this might be good in early season. Not sure. I'm really surprised there's no rubs here. I'm like very, very surprised. This to me, when I saw this on the map, all I thought was a buck is dominating this area because of all those factors. The sign isn't telling me that. No historic rubs, nothing. So, doe bedding area, hunt it in the rut. Yeah, just a couple clean cut yard stakes, and you could tell where he cut all of these little saplings down. Here's a stool there. So, human trail, not a deer trail. We got pressure, so we're getting out of here. This one's kind of stumping me. I'm in another oxbow. At the bed right there. Bed there, bed there. Nice bed there. Then look at this thing. I'm over here. Nice entrance trail. Right into this. That's how big it is compared to the dog. You got a wall of brush. You're down on deer's level. You're in an oxbow. Yeah, you ain't getting through, dummy. So you're blocked by sight. You can smell everything. Coming that way. See the bed there? Yeah, this is like... There's another bed over there. Right there. This is such a perfect bed. But there's no rubs. There is absolutely no rubs in here. Man, that is a damn good looking bed too. That's why I'm stumped. Like, it's isolated in an oxbow. Has all this cover. Cave. Absolute cave bed. Here you can see a younger buck from last year. Could be the same buck from this year. The levels are a little bit higher. So it could be like a 1.5 to a 2.5 or so. That's how you ate or determine the size of the deer based on the height. One thing I'm trying to work on is how to identify these beds better. I am in an awesome, awesome bed right now. Fresh hair, fresh poop, big, wide open, enough space for a buck to lay down, the rack, isolated, not other many beds around, but there's no rubs in it. Struggling. Yeah, I mean, it's just coated in hair and stuff, but I mean, like, maybe that is a secondary bed, you know? So I'm pretty sure this is going to be a doe, but could be a matriarch doe or something, because it's an awesome bed. Yeah, I mean, just look how big it is. There's trails going everywhere. All that hair, poop, really long hair there, short hair. But, you know, that could be a little bed right there. There could be a bed back there. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is doe. So yeah, that was my February and March. Very, very productive. I'm getting more miles this year than I ever have. I've never really scouted like this before, so just really leveling up my hunting game here. So be on the lookout for the next one, the April scouting, where went on some adventures, let's say. So it's good to be back getting these videos out. So hope you learned something. Let me know if you ever want to go out together.